welcome back to Wee Kids. My name's Danny, I'm one of the founders at Wee Kids. If it's your first time at Wee Kids, know that there are over 250 free activity resources for you to use to get out into nature and to improve your well-being. Today I've come up into the woods to tell you a story. This is a folk tale. It is from Wales and it is called Slops. So off in the woodland there was a little cottage that was made of slate, and this cottage had a little chimney, and around the outside of it had a slate wall, and inside the cottage lived an elderly lady and an elderly man, and they had a lovely garden where they grew all of their vegetables. And the one thing that they loved to cook more than anything was vegetable soup. Every night they would sit by the slop bucket and they would peel all the carrots and they would put the peelings in the slop bucket. Then they'd peel all the potatoes and put all the peelings in the slop bucket. They'd peel the turnips and they'd put all the peelings in the slop bucket. They'd peel the sprouts, they'd peel everything. And all the slops would go in the bucket. After the soup, they would wash the dishes and all the water would go with the slops in the slop bucket. And when the bucket was full to the top, the man would struggle to pick it up, but he'd pick it up and he'd walk across the kitchen floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. He'd open the door, lean over the wall and toss all of the slops out. But one night, they'd finished their dinner. The slop bucket was full. The man dragged it across the floor to the wall and he tipped it out. But this time when he tipped it out, he thought he heard a little voice. "Can you stop throwing your slops all over my house?" it said. And the man looked around. He thought, maybe I'm going a little crazy. He went back in and he told his wife. He said, "I'm sure I just heard a voice asking me not to throw the slops on their house. But there are no houses out there. I must be going doolally." His wife said, "You don't think it was one of the wee folk, do you? One of the little people?" "No," he said, I've not seen them around these parts for years." And they forgot about it until the next night, when they peeled the potatoes and they peeled the carrots and they peeled the turnips and the slop bucket filled and the water went in the slop bucket and the man picked up the slop bucket and off he went. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. He opened the door, he staggered to the garden wall and splosh! Tipped the slops all over. And again he heard the voice. "You're doing it again! Will you stop throwing your slops all over my house?" The man looked around. He thought, "I'm not going doolally after all." And he looked and he popped his head over the wall and there was a tiny little man looking up at him with a long grey beard and a big nose. He looked up. He said, "I've asked you a few times now, stop throwing slops on my house. They go all over the roof and down my chimney." And the man said, "Well, I don't see any houses down there. It's just weeds and plants and rocks. I don't know what you're talking about." And he turned and he went back inside. And he told his wife, and she said, "There must be wee folk living down there somewhere." But they forgot about it until the next night, when they peeled the potatoes and peeled the carrots and peeled the turnips and popped in the onions and ate the soup and filled up the slop bucket with all the waste water. And he picked it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. He threw the door open, he staggered to the wall, and just as he was going to tip it over, the little man appeared. He said, "I am so sorry, I didn't see you there." The little man said, "I am sick of this. I've told you and asked you nicely. Can you not see?" And the man said, "I can't see." He said, "Then come down here." And the man crouched down so he was right at the level of the wee man. And there he saw it. This whole tiny village covered in slops. The wee man said, "Every night those slops go down my chimney and my wife is busy mopping them up. Do you know how much trouble you're causing us? Stop throwing slops." So the man apologised and he went back into his wife. He said, "I've seen it. I've seen the village. It's covered in our slops. What are we going to do?" And they thought. The wife said, "Maybe you could carry the slop bucket around the back of the house." The old man said, "I am too old for that. I struggle the 10 steps to the front of the house. There's no way I could go 10 steps and then all the way round and throw it out of the back." The wife said, "But what if we had a new door put at the back of the house?" The man said, "That would be too expensive. We only have a little bit of savings. We can't afford to get the wall knocked in and a new door put in." But they decided they would get their savings and check. They went under their bed and they pulled out their little box and they opened it up. And there were 5 silver pieces. Just enough to get a new door fitted. So they called the carpenter. And the carpenter came and he fitted them a new door and he took every single bit of their savings. And this left the man and the lady quite worried. What if something else happened? But that night, they got their slops bucket. They peeled the potatoes, they peeled the carrots, they peeled the turnips, they threw in an onion. They ate their soup, they washed the dishes, they poured the water in the slop bucket. And the man picked up the slop bucket. But instead of going to the front door, this time he took 10 steps to the back door. He got to the wall and splosh! He threw over the slops and he listened. Not a single voice. He went back in and he told his wife, and together they were very, very, very happy that their day of dropping slops on the village were over. But deep inside they were still a little worried that they had no savings left. But they needn't be. Because from that night on, every single night when they opened their back door, there on the mat was a silver coin. And the old man and the old lady never wanted for anything again, and the wee folk lived happily ever after. And that is the end of the story. So I hope you enjoyed that story. It's a story about kindness. It's a story about understanding, and it's a story about looking out for each other. I love that little tale. It shows that when we listen to each other and we work together, we can meet everybody's needs. So thanks for stopping by. Remember, there are many, 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 many more stories over at the website. Check them out, and I hope you enjoy all of those too. See you again soon. Bye.